Hey guys, so I am someone who has always been prone to skin issues. My whole life I've suffered from dry, cracked skin, and especially when I was a kid, had some really kind of funky skin things going on, and now our son, who is not quite 2, is also struggling with skin things, and so he is prone to dry skin, to eczema patches, and he has really his whole life, but especially in the winter when it is really dry outside, he just gets this dry, cracked skin that's really uncomfortable for him. And as a mom, it's like the worst thing to watch your kids suffer with something like that. But the thing that we have discovered works the best for us has been tallow, and using tallow balm on skin to really help moisturize it and heal it better than anything else that we've tried. And it's all natural, and it's actually super, super easy to make at home. So we're gonna talk all about tallow and how you can make your own tallow balm at home. So tallow is the fat from a cow, or beef fat. And so it sounds really funky to use on skin, but it works really well. So this is the fat that, you know, great-great-grandma was using to make her soap a few generations ago, and a really traditional fat to use for food, but also for skincare. And for good reason, it works really well. So tallow, or beef fat, is compatible with skin. So it's really good for moisturizing. It contains vitamins A, D, E, and K, as well as an array of minerals. So it's just super nourishing for skin, and it just goes really well with skin at keeping it moisturized, keeping it feeling really soft and smooth. And so really it has been our go-to thing. We use it in almost all of our skincare products now, our soap, our shampoo bars, even the different salves and lotions we make. Really everything that we make has tallow in it. And so we have several recipes. I can link below all of our tallow recipes that we have, but it's awesome. And so to render your own tallow, so first question I often get is, where do you get tallow from? So it's great to have a relationship with a local farmer who raises beef, and oftentimes because farmers who have beef, there's not usually a great source for that beef fat or tallow, and so usually you can get it for a really good price. So seek out a local farmer, talk to a local farmer, especially a farmer who practices regenerative, organic practices with grass-fed cows. That is gonna be your top-notch tallow. If you don't have a local farmer, you can always check with a butcher. Could be another place that you can get beef tallow. But then you're gonna need to render that fat down. And so I'm gonna link below to the video that I use to render the fat down. So there's 2 different methods for rendering fat down, and I'm not gonna get into the weeds with this, but there's the dry method where you just heat it up and you just render it and melt it, and that's great for cooking, but we don't like to do that for skincare products because it still kind of leaves a beefy sort of smell in your fat. But there's the wet method of rendering tallow that actually uses water. It's a little bit of a longer process, but it's not hard. I just do it in my slow cooker, and it just takes some time. But in that wet method process, it actually eliminates all of that beefy smell, and so it just leaves you with kind of an odorless tallow that's perfect for skincare, and it lasts super long. So I made this a few months ago, and it's fine in our fridge. The big thing with using the wet method is you want to make sure that you get out all the water and you just have fat, because if there's water in there, then mold can form. But as long as it's just fat, then it will store in your fridge for several months, no problem. But to make tallow balm, it's really simple, you guys. So tallow balm has become quite a popular thing, and now you can buy it really in a lot of different small vendors especially are selling it, which is awesome to support those places if you don't want to make it yourself. But it can be quite pricey to buy from someone else for a small jar, but making it yourself is really easy and really cost effective if you want to go that route. So after you have your rendered tallow, all you need is tallow and olive oil. That's it. That's all that's in tallow balm. So you can add other essential oils, or you can add like an herbal infused olive oil. I have a friend who uses like a comfrey calendula blend in her tallow balm, which would be awesome and super healing. But I've always just done it very basic of tallow and olive oil, and just that in itself has been super moisturizing. So we don't tend to put essential oils in, but if that's your thing, you totally can. You want to add about a 1% dilution of essential oils to the tallow and olive oil blend. Okay, but to make this, guys, all you do is you're gonna add, and you can scale this recipe however you want, and I will post below the full recipe with everything you need right there and just more benefits of tallow and all of that, so that will be linked below. But to make it, all you're gonna do is you're gonna put a half a cup of your rendered tallow in a measuring cup here. So, and it doesn't need to be perfect or exact. This is just roughly a half a cup. And then you're gonna wanna melt that. All right, so when it's, solidified, it's a little hard to tell how much is gonna melt down to a half a cup, but I'd say that's roughly gonna be a half a cup. And so we're gonna go ahead and heat our water on the stove and then just create like a double boiler sort of a thing. So I'm just gonna stick this in our hot water, let this heat up until so our tallow can melt. All right, so after your tallow is melted, all you need to do now is add your olive oil. So for the ratios that I'm doing with a half a cup of tallow, it's gonna be 2 tablespoons of olive oil that you're gonna add. And so if you wanted to double this recipe and make a cup of tallow, then you're gonna add a 1/4 cup of your olive oil. So it's totally up to you, you can play around with it, but that's it. And so the other thing when you're making tallow balm is that there are 2 ways you can do it. So you can either make a solid tallow balm, and that is what we like to do. That's what we're gonna be doing here, and that's the most simple. So that's just gonna be pouring your olive oil into your tallow and then pouring that into your jar and letting it set until it turns into a solid and using it in that form. And when you use it in that form, this is a finished jar, it's gonna look like this. So it's got a nice, it's pretty soft, it's easy to spread. Like that is the tallow balm that we use. But you can also make a whipped version. And so if you wanna make a whipped version, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pour your olive oil into your tallow and you're gonna pour that into a bowl and you're gonna let it solidify. And then from there, you're gonna take like an immersion blender or something and you're just gonna whip it and it's gonna turn into a more like whipped cream sort of texture because it's gonna incorporate air into that mixture. And so that whipped tallow balm is awesome. It's kind of luxurious. It's gonna go on really easy, but the shelf life of that whipped tallow balm with the air incorporated is gonna be less. So because of that, we just like to make a solid version. It's simple. It lasts, the shelf life is really several months. It does really well for a long time. So that's what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna go ahead and add our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then you're gonna mix that up. If you were gonna add essential oils, now would be the time to do that. You would add them here, stir it all together, and that's it. From here, you can pour it into your jars. Thankfully, this is cooled down now. You can pour it into your jars, and so I just have a 4-ounce jar here, which this is gonna be slightly more than 4 ounces, but pretty close. All right, and then give that a few hours to solidify, and it's gonna be ready to go. So that's it. That's all you need to do to make tallow balm at home. Just tallow and olive oil and you can do it. So we hope this has inspired you to maybe give it a try if dry skin is something that you struggle with in your family. So thanks so much for watching today and we'll see you next time.